You're listening to the Youth Critic Podcast on KHZ Network. Find us on Facebook at DecibelUNG Radio and find us on Twitter at DecibelUNG.
2 days ago, the Las Vegas DA
If you like this episode, please leave a like and comment on our iTunes page at KHZ Network. And now for the podcast.
Justice had her under protective custody until someone blew up the safe house, killing several agents.
How many are several?
3. Somehow she got away. She's made no attempt to contact the Department of Justice or the Las Vegas DA since then.
What, no postcard?
No. Trial begins next week. The feds are all worked up. Apparently, without Delano, the government has no case.
So all leads are being followed, including one which leads here. Phone call Delano made to a number here in Seattle belonging to a Brian and Pam O'Hara. She may be looking to lay low at them.
Anybody check the O'Haras?
They left for their vacation home on Bainbridge Island 2 days ago, which makes putting them under surveillance a little tricky.
Stakeout.
We heard you're good at it.
We cannot rotate surveillance teams.
Oh, no.
You'll be on it round the clock.
I have managed to secure the house next to the O'Haras. It belongs to Judge Hoberman.
Maximum Dave?
And I've had to promise on my career that nothing would happen to his house. So, gentlemen, nothing had better happen to his house.
So no wiping your boogers on the sofa?
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Youth Critic Retrospectives. I am your host, Kel Smith, and joining me today is...
From a universe very, very far away and too loud, Justin Mayhew.
And this week we are going to be talking about the Stakeout franchise. Another 80s franchise, another 80s movie that did moderately well, and but got a sequel in 1993.
It's the weekend of Bernie's of cop movies.
Yep. Although I do think this franchise is a little better than The Weekend at Bernie's. Like, there's better taste, but it's not that much. So Justin, since I started on the last episode, what did you think about the Stakeout franchise as a whole?
I laugh sometimes.
That's basically my opinion. There's some funny moments. But the problem with this franchise, and it continues on in the second one, is I find Richard Dreyfuss, who is can be a very likable actor and play likable characters. He is just unlikable in both movies. Like, he almost fucks up both operations, all on a...
God damn, he's a creepy, voyeuristic peeping Tom motherfucker. And a nasty piece of shit. That's what he is.
He is. I mean, in the first one, he almost fucking, starts, he almost starts, masturbating to, watching Madeline Stowe undress.
In her shower. He's in her goddamn bedroom.
Yeah.
Watching her take a shower. And making all these faces like, what a disgusting pervert motherfucker, man.
I mean, my God. I mean, what a dirty old man.
Fucking shit, I'll tell you.
And what's funny is... Richard Dreyfuss wasn't, that old. But He looked like he was fucking 60.
Yeah, he's 40 at the time.
Yeah, he's 40, yeah. And it's wow, he looks so old compared to, 12 years earlier in, or even a decade earlier in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. where he looks like a dad in his mid-30s, but still, he looks like a dad in his mid-30s. But now, watching this, he's fucking like a grandpa.
Mm-hmm.
It was only a decade after Close Encounters.
And I'll tell you, another thing is, again, with the really retro, over-the-top soundtracks that, it's almost like, they're going, wah, 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 when something
with
funny's
the saxophones.
Yes, all those kind of things. It's like, man, come on, guys.
Yeah, and also, I just don't find the characters that compelling. Emilio Estevez gets nothing to do other than just sit in a dark room. He probably could have just done all of his scenes in 2 weeks.
They could have had him do a voiceover.
Yeah, he's just there checking. I'm looking through this camera now.
Right. Occasionally he throws some stupid prank at the other cops. That's basically what he's the comic sidekick.
Yeah,
and kind of a superfluous one at that,
Yeah, and and to make matters worse, in the third movie they introduce another
third movie.
Oh, I'm sorry. Second movie.
Yeah, okay.
Good God.
Hello. I think we need more coffee or more sleep. Ha ha ha.
In the second movie, they add Rosie O'Donnell to the mix, who also gives, which means Emilio Estevez has less to do.
Right, and the thing about the first film and the second film together, we'll just run them both together here, is there's a lot of strange tonal shifting going on.
Oh yeah,
the first one can't decide if it's a gritty film noir with Aidan Quinn escaping from jail and going
It's
around
bloody,
murdering the
gruesome.
fuck out of some cops, right?
Yeah.
Then there's the goofy Last Action Hero thing again with the comic sidekick cops that are really, really goofy. There's a slapstick kind of element to it. For instance, there's a sequence, a really long, involved, a completely too long sequence where Dreyfus is running around with a pink hat trying to evade the cops and being chased by dogs and such, which is so goddamn hilarious.
I think I laughed negative twice.
Yes, this is all so fucking hilarious, people, don't you know?
Because, he's... But the thing is, it's not funny because you're fucking this whole thing up. I mean, you literally are, just to get your dick wet, you're just like, I'm doing this you're basically going to fuck everything up.
Yep. And that's the thing, you've got this uneasy mixture of film noir, escape heist movie, cop buddy movie, and some weird, twisted, perverted romantic comedy.
Movie.
Yeah, and there's 3 different movies here.
Yeah.
And they kind of, they're all kind of button heads,
I was saying this as I was watching the movie a day or two ago, that this movie kind of feels like someone was coming in with a pitch let's do a movie about cops taking out a place. And let's kind of do about the drama. Let's do let's do a cop movie about that. And then the studio was like, "Fuck that. That's boring. That's gonna be boring as fuck." And then in a spur of the moment, "Oh fuck. I gotta I gotta come up with something." He's like, "Well, one of them falls in love with the person they're staking out."
Yeah.
And then the studio goes, "Okay, green light."
Yeah. The studio pitch room. Hey, I've got an idea.
Right. Yeah, and that's my problem with this whole, this whole fucking dance routine. It's like, I mean, I know in the script you have to have something happen, but it's it says a lot when you just are not relying on Richard Dreyfuss and Emilio Estevez, comic, banter and whatnot, because it says so much when you're just I'm trying to get Richard Dreyfuss back in that fucking house with Madeline Stowe as much as possible.
Right. Yeah. It's just such a tonal mess. It's crazy, and trying to keep track of it all, and none of it winds up seeming kind of superficial in a lot of ways.
Oh, it's very superficial. It's almost more superficial than a Ron Howard movie.
Dude. I was watching it, and I was saying, "Oh yeah, well, it's kind of fluffy. I think it's rated PG-13. It's rated R. I didn't know that. I thought it was a rated PG-13 movie.
It gets R-rated at the end.
At the end, but through the vast majority of it, they're holding off on the fucks. They show, they don't say fuck but once through the entire first 2/3 of the movie.
And while there is nudity,
it's all side boob. You never see full on.
Yeah, I mean you see her ass, but still,
they never get on. It's all side boob.
Right.
Madeline Stowe shows just right to the very edge, and then as soon as there's any peak of
they cut.
Pink, they cut to the pervy
Amelia,
man's reaction,
or to Amelia fuck, no.
Well, except that we exaggerate because they don't say fuck until the end when Aidan Quinn shows up, and starts shooting people in a paper mill.
Yeah, what a weird way to go,
dude. I actually did like the henchman, the guy they kept chasing, the one from the beginning that Dreyfuss fell into the vat of fish.
Oh yeah, the redheaded guy.
And he falls in between the logs. The logs
guy
crushes him down and drowns. That's a nasty way to go.
Did it crush him? I thought he just
he drowned. He was pushed under by them.
Oh, okay.
And he couldn't get up, and so he drowned underneath. but the log's kind of crushed in on him, right?
Right.
And it was kind of a gruesome thing, and it's like there's something there, and then
Aiden Quinn just gets spilled like a bunch of blood spilled on him. Like, yeah, I mean, even like Emilio Estevez gets like a fucking like what is it?
A wood
hook,
a claw. It looks like a meat hook to me.
Yeah,
right?
it looks like it was like a meat hook to like the shoulder.
Yeah.
Like shit.
It's like ouch.
Like, and he gets like punched multiple times.
Yeah. And Dreyfus punches him a few times.
Yeah, I mean, just to keep the appearance that he's
right, but he gets punched in the face. And no, should I go with the second one? How he gets hit in the head and falls downstairs and gets tied up and thrown in
front of the back of a car.
And in a trunk and thrown in the ocean and shot at. And boy, Emilio Estevez, he needs a new goddamn partner.
He needs a new agent.
Yeah, he needs a different movie franchise, right?
I mean, and look, I mean, I understand why to do a second one. I mean, even though it's odd they waited like 6 years, because it was the first one was 87, and this one's obviously
93. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's kind of odd they waited so long, but still, I was like, I was like watching the second one. I'm like, who is asking for this? Richard Dreyfuss is annoying as fuck, and then you have Rosie O'Donnell in here, who is like she's not a bad comedian.
She's not as annoying as Richard Dreyfuss is in this.
Yeah, I mean, her character is so poorly written, and like Rosie O'Donnell's trying so hard to be like make this like a strong female cop character or like a very not intimidating but dominant, commanding female character, but she has moments where she just like fucking like breaks down and like and then at a moment's notice, like the weirdest moments.
Well, there was the one scene where she's actually manipulating them that way before dinner. Which the dinner
isn't a bad scene.
Dennis Farina trying to wolf down ice cream to get the fuck out of the house. Dennis Farina, one of my favorites. God bless him, I miss him.
God, what a great character actor.
He was, yes. And here he's not even playing a goddamn cop or a goddamn
he's just somebody's
mafioso.
husband.
Yeah, he's just a regular Joe, Mr. O'Hara.
Yeah, a great guy, lives in a nice little like lake house, and
in the Vancouver version of Seattle.
Yeah. Oh yeah, these movies are both like shot in. It's so obviously that it's in Canada.
And if you're going to do a stand-in, Seattle and Vancouver, similar climate, similar locations, similar
they're
areas.
all close in region.
In the Pacific Northwest. Yeah, that's a better fit than trying to say that Vancouver is New York City, or say Vancouver is now all of a sudden somewhere in Texas or something. That's a better fit,
Mm-hmm. But yeah, my whole thing about this franchise was, and I think Barry Sonnenfeld, I think has a really good like comedic role of like doing buddy cop movies or buddy films. Is that you have to have one guy that's like the straight, the straight
man, and then the comic
guy.
relief. Yes.
There's none of that here. Like, I mean, I guess you can make I guess you can make the case that Emilio Estevez is a straight person. Like, or you can make the case. But if that's the case, then Richard Dreyfuss is like the most annoying as fuck because he hates doing everything. Like, I'm sitting here wondering, why don't you are like worse than Larry David. Just jump off a fucking cliff and die. Like, I don't know. I was just like this.
And in the second one, their setup is that they're looking for a runaway witness against a mob. So they're instead of looking for a criminal, they're looking for someone to protect. But boy, they're bad at their job either way.
These guys are terrible.
The police work, man, the policemen in this role are actually quite realistic.
Well, I almost chuckled in the second movie when Rosie O'Donnell said, "You guys had success with staking out before." Yeah, like so many people. Like,
well, every job they do that they've shown is a complete boondoggle and a fuck up.
Yeah, I mean, they actually do almost succeed in the second movie of capturing their guy. The problem is the homeless
Miguel Ferrar.
Yeah, well, the homeless guy shoots the bad.
Oh, you're talking about the beginning, yeah.
Yeah,
the guy who's been beating up homeless persons.
Yeah, and killed the one guy's friend.
Yeah, but that's wow. Again, another movie with a really oblique and fluffy take on a gruesome idea. You know?
Yeah, I mean, the homeless man's playing the role very well. It's just everything else around him is like supposed to be, slapstick comedy.
Well, here's the thing with the first one, it's it can't decide if it's a gritty noir, if it's a romantic comedy or a screwball comedy.
Or a romantic comedy.
Well, I mean, that's what I said. There's a screwball comedy with the cops with their, pranks and tricks with each other. You got some of that screwball kind of shit going on, right?
Right.
And then the romantic comedy with Madeline Stowe and Richard Dreyfuss. But in the second one, it's gotten a lot more clearly screwball comedy. They kind of eschew a lot more of the film noir and heisty kind of things, and the plot becomes subservient to Rosie O'Donnell and Dreyfuss trying to ape the camera, both trying to mug,
Well, yeah, and that becomes a problem becomes a problem with Emilio Estevez, where he's just kind of like getting pushed more into the background,
right. And beat up, and stabbed, and shot at, and pushed downstairs, and tied up, and threatened with his life.
It's like the passion of Emilio Estevez in that third act.
No, and I think one of the things that actually stood out for me the most is at the beginning when they blow the holy fuck out of that Las Vegas house, with gasoline
with
brought into the honey wagon.
Doing it multiple times.
They pump the gasoline in through a honey wagon, and blow it the fuck up. But before they do that, Kathy Moriarty from Law and Order fame,
right? Mm-hmm.
She's the witness, and her boyfriend, husband are hanging around his house with some cops.
Yeah, they're at the safe house.
As she's going into the bedroom to see her husband, there's a TV playing. You know what the movie was on the TV?
Stakeout. Yeah, what an odd
interesting.
They made was the first one like a documentary now in this universe? If so, then really these guys should be like really fired.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, I find the whole I know some people will make that defense like it's a screwball comedy, it's not supposed to be realistic, but I'm like, still, like in any realistic world, and maybe I'm looking through this in 2018 eyes, but in any world this would be so unethical to the point where why wouldn't this woman just call the police and be like, hey, there's this guy that fixes phones and he's just hanging around this neighborhood.
Right. Yeah.
And he's hanging around my neighborhood. I'm like, what the fuck? Can you keep him away? What should I do?
Yeah, she keeps running into him at her house, in the street, at the grocery store.
I mean,
stalkery much?
I mean, he is a sweet person, but still, I'm like, this character kind of seems like she's been around enough bad people to know, okay, maybe.
And she would be suspicious of this kind of,
Yeah.
Most people that have survived an abusive relationship have, triggered behaviors that when there's noises or people say certain things or you see them in certain places, they have, PTSD kind of issues, and she doesn't display really any sort of
any emotions.
Trauma. Yeah, no.
Or problem, yeah.
Right. And it's... The whole movie has got some problematic, gender interplay issues.
Both movies.
Yes, certainly, because Mr. Grabby, stalkery, pervy, voyeury Dreyfuss is back.
Yeah, and he's fucking upset that a woman is, or that Rosie O'Donnell is fucking his boss for this whole thing, and I'm like, dude, this is your fucking work. Just be professional. Yep. Just be a tad. I mean, even Emilio Estevez is fuck it, it's my job. Okay. I have 2 kids at home.
Yep. There's banter. A quick summary of Stakeout 2. Another Stakeout is boom, boom, banter, some sort of dick or fart joke, then Archie, then more dick jokes and fart jokes.
Yeah, and then
Archie again.
And then Miguel Ferrari comes back
Miguel Ferrar.
The great Miguel Ferrar comes back and
Topper.
Topper.
You've given me a reason to live. I can kill again.
And he does. Like, he's just going to go and kill Kathy Moriarty. But yeah, so what's excuse me. I'm sorry, I'm blanking. But yeah, I mean, that's just the whole movie is a banter, and like, and it's all annoying, like, banter. Like, just shut the fuck up, Richard Dreyfuss. And also, like, poor Emilio Estevez, like, he can't get sleep because everyone's like, everyone else is on a fucking vacation.
Yeah. Dreyfuss is skeeving on the other neighbor with the son of the baseball.
He's trying to pork this other neighbor.
Yeah. And
or he's trying to pork a soccer mom.
yeah, and there's a soccer mom next door with the kid with the baseball. He's going over there and skeeving on her now. Rosie O'Donnell is either taking relaxing baths
taking a relaxing bath
or being dragged down a mountain by Archie.
by Arch. Look, Arch.
Archie.
Oh God. Yeah, that it's not the dog. It's O'Donnell. I don't want to hate on Rosie O'Donnell because she gets enough of it already in real life, but still, it's just kind of an annoying character, and she's written so inconsistently.
Well, women characters are oftentimes written very badly.
Yeah, I mean, she's just written so. Well, it's not only badly; it's just inconsistent because she's a strong female character, but then when she is like put a gun to the head by Miguel Ferrer, she's like fucking like losing it, like full on like, oh yeah.
Yep.
Like, I mean, fucking Madeline Stowe is a stronger female character than this bitch.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, I have one interesting thing about this movie that I think I take away. I think this may very well be the only movie I've actually ever seen a cat's brown eyes point of view camera. A cat's butt POV camera.
Oh my God!
There was a cat's butt POV camera in this goddamn movie. The first chase, when Archie goes chasing the orange tabby, and they show the tail hanging in front of the camera. This camera is from the cat's butthole's point of view, people. We are watching a goddamn foot chase from the point of view of a cat's butthole. This is the level of humor of this movie.
And it's the laziest writing because that's what leads to them meeting Dennis Ferreira and the other chick.
Dennis
Farina.
Yep.
And that's what leads to that, to them meeting and then having that awkward.
And they never really, as far as I could tell, after a while, I kind of got a little bleary-eyed with the running together of the movie. But as far as I could tell, Kathy Moriarty's character kind of just sort of showed up at the O'Hara's house, at Farina's house, and conveniently in time to whack Emilio Estevez's Bill character over the head.
Right.
And I mean, there was no hide nor hair of her. That there was no suspicion that the O'Haras actually knew what was going on until suddenly there is Kathy Moriarty. I didn't get that there was any foreshadowing of any sort that she was actually there. Of course she's going to be because that's the way these movies work. But it would be nice if there was some writing, some intro, some kind of segue.
That would be a fucking plot twist if like some other group of stakeouters found her in like buttfuck Mexico or something or somewhere else.
It could be that,
or they found her like two miles away from the explosion.
You could have it to where Gina, Rosie O'Donnell's character, comes to the Stakeout dudes. Says, "We're going to stake this house because we got a big teletext that there's a big mafia witness that could be in the area, so we'll go stake them out." And they're going staking out the house, and the people who are staking out is actually the feds staking them out, thinking they're the escaped.
What a lazy way of a climax, because you're just like, and also how does Kathy Moriarty how has she not put it together in the last like 12 hours or so that, oh wait, everyone that was following me are cops. Oh wait, like how has she not put it together that, oh wait, everyone's just a cop. It's fine, we're good.
Well, I'll tell you.
Because she points them out like they're the fucking mob.
Yeah, and they're police. Don't stop shooting at them. But they're shooting at us. You're shooting at them. So, kind of reminds you of some issues that the ATF had during that period of time.
Yeah.
There were some actual issues that the FBI and the ATF had. I'm not going to mention the actual occurrences, but in the late 80s, early 90s, there were some issues that the federal government had with rules of engagement and such.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point though, but still, it's a really dumb way to drag out the climax.
Yeah, and as you say, it's kind of lazy writing.
It is. Well, almost all of this is.
Well, you think about this. Gina has spent the night with Kathy Moriarty in the hospital.
Right, because
and she's never gotten in touch with her boys.
Yeah, she's not. I mean, she's the one that saved fucking Bill, or Amelia Estevez's character
from the ocean. Yes.
Yeah.
And then basically they took her to the hospital.
Yeah.
And she never once in the whole night they're at the hospital did she mention the fact she's working with 2 police officers.
Yeah.
They never once came by to clear things up.
Yeah. I mean, maybe she was still pissed that she got punched in the head, punched in the eye. Because I mean, Richard Dreyfuss basically punched the woman.
Again, yeah. There's a lot. I mean, now we're talking about actual intimations of spousal abuse kind of things. Here, he's the whole chivalry thing. He hit a woman in the face, and
yeah,
they
Madeline,
make a big joke. Yeah,
Madeline, still run, run away.
They're making a joke out of it. And again, they're taking light of physical abuse again.
Oh my God, this again. It's not as bad, and the reason why I say it's not as bad as Weekend at Bernie's is, A, we're not following a fucking sociopath and a coward.
Oh?
What?
Dreyfuss isn't a sociopath in this movie?
We're not following an obvious sociopath.
Stalking a woman, hiding under her bed, leering at her in the shower, making inappropriate remarks, tapping her phone. I thought that was pretty sociopathic to me.
I thought that was more just in line of this is what stalkers do.
Well, stalkers have mental issues, don't they?
Okay, fair. Well, at least we're not following a combination of a sociopath and a coward, because at least Emilio Estevez is an actual cop with dignity and ethics, and
he plays at having a conscience anyway.
Yeah, well, at least he's I have a wife and
right.
kids.
And this is where we get into that point where we have subjective qualities of film. How you felt about Weekend at Bernie's, I have a lot of that feeling towards Another Stakeout.
And
kind of where is this going? What's the point of this? Is it moving yet? Yeah. Is something going to happen?
Yeah, you're waiting for MacGuffin to show up, which is basically 2 human characters.
Yeah, it's Kathy Moriarty and Miguel Ferrer are the MacGuffins in this movie.
And Adrian Quinn in the last one.
Yes.
So you're just waiting for these fucking things to show up. And it's a 2-hour movie.
Oh,
These
yeah,
are
both
all,
of them, yeah, pretty long movies.
And the humor is not that funny. The banter, I never found it mostly funny.
No, and that's the thing. I actually do find Weekend at Bernie's 1 and 2 fairly humorous.
Right. Well, yeah.
Which is something that we disagree on. But how you feel about Weekend at Bernie's 1, that is my reaction to Another Stakeout. Sorry.
Yeah, this is a... Well, at least...
check the watch, look at your phone. I'm going to check my email here, waiting for something to happen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, here's the thing that Weekend at Bernie's does have. At least, there's a subplot of people turning into goats. At least Weekend at Bernie's 2 has a subplot of that.
However, they should have been Larry and Richard. Should have turned into the goats.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Larry and Richard, because they got the curse reversed back onto them, remember?
Uh-huh.
So they should have been the ones turning into goats.
That movie makes no sense. Again, it makes no sense. I still think about it none of this makes any sense.
Yeah, and the Stakeout movies don't make a lot of sense either.
Well, the problem is you can either do a Catherine Bigelow kind of thing or a serious immersive, authentic movie, and you do what kind of what Cops is now. Is Cops still on the air?
I Yes, I don't know. They show them in reruns on WGN. I know, those
Okay.
kind of things.
What cops? You can do something like a whole movie about that, like where we follow a bunch of cops, like doing stakeouts and seeing how it all rolls
Well,
out.
that's Reno 911, isn't it?
Well, that's the comic version. Of
Right,
it.
but that's
Oh,
an
okay,
example,
yeah,
right?
you're right. But you could have done that, but I don't know. This feels just like, well, we gotta just have something going on. 'Cause
There's a again. I can see what one of your problems with Weekend at Bernie's is that here we have this central gag that we're going to hang all these other gags off of, and you can, if you don't buy the central gag, then all the other gags fall apart.
right,
And it's the same with Stakeout. There's a central conceit that, kind of like a one-trick pony that both of these series of movies do, that you have to suspend disbelief for it to work.
yeah, and that's kind of my issue. That's really my, and Stakeout. I buy that this could be a comedic premise, but what they hang on those little gags you mentioned, they don't quite work because of how the characters are executed. I mean.
Yeah, when they get everybody together at the dinner scene, it's almost, there's something you can see. There's the core of something that might have worked.
Yeah.
If they had, and instead they kind of start to de-escalate it. You could build the whole climax of the film around an escalating dinner gone wrong, like a comedy of errors, like say a Clue thing, where these people have been invited to dinner and then people start getting whacked, and things start to roll out of control.
Right.
And you're trapped in this thing. But instead, they start breaking everybody off. That Emilio Estevez's Bill character goes off to plant a bug. Richard Dreyfuss gets dampened by
Water
water
the
sprinklers.
sprinklers in the garden.
Looking for Bill. And so they keep de-escalating the situation. They show these people kind of coming together, bonking and blopping and confusing with each
and
other.
then Rosie O'Donnell's like being psychic, and then you have the whole gag where she's like describing that that to this other woman that your husband might be having an affair and whatnot, and of course Dennis Farina is hearing this and is like,
yeah, there could have been a whole comedy of errors and stuff going on and building if they just stuck with us. A dinner date gone awry.
Yeah, dinner double date gone awry.
Yeah, and that could have been something like you say a game night, where you have a game night in that film with
Jason
with
Bateman, Rachel
yeah.
McAdams.
And that this game night gets just further and further out of control. It's a central thing. They come together, and these characters keep bouncing off of each other and smashing and having a horrible, hilarious night.
Yeah.
And I thought that Game Night is a superior film. It's not a great film by any stretch of the imagination, but here's where the comedy is actually working. That it's actually firing on more than one cylinder.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And also, I don't think John Badham is a really good comic director.
I don't think he's actually that good of a director overall. I mean, I was looking at his the standouts. He's got a couple of things like Short Circuit,
Saturday Night Fever,
Blue Thunder,
War Games.
Yeah, and all these are kind of like,
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing about John Badham as a director is that I have not seen his whole library of stuff. I saw the movie that Mel Gibson and Goldie Hawn were together.
Bird on Wire, yeah.
I saw that movie and I thought that was okay.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, it's kind of like John Badham kind of divulged after Saturday Night Fever into like Ron Howard territory.
Yeah, Ron Howard, Spielberg, De Palma kind of an amalgam. And sort
at least
of a
De
carbon
Palma
copy.
De Palma has tries to stick with the Hitchcock style.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That Badham has sort of 1/3 part Ron Howard, 1/3 part Spielberg, and 1/3 part De Palma knockoff. He's kind of like a Xerox amalgam of these guys put together. Because you look at his thing, Saturday Night Fever, you could see as like a Ron Howard or a Steven Spielberg kind of a joint, and War Games is a definite Spielberg kind of a ripoff.
Right. Blue Thunder is definitely like a Ron Howard kind of thing.
And with some De Palma kind of voyeurism and stuff going on.
Yeah, I mean, and John Badham, I'm sure he's directed some good movies. I mean, Brandon and I were talking about about Saturday Night Fever last night, and and Brandon still loves Saturday Night Fever.
Saturday Night Fever may be, it's the second film he ever directed, and it may be the best movie he ever did. All right, I've got the filmography here. You ready?
Okay, go ahead. Go shoot.
The Bingo Long Traveling All-Stars and Motor Kings was his first movie, according to Wikipedia. Then Saturday Night Fever. The 1979 version of Dracula.
With Frank Langella.
Yes. Whose Life Is It Anyway? Which I don't remember. Blue Thunder, which is Roy Scheider.
Go ahead.
Then War Games.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Did Blue Thunder and War Games come out in the same year?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we got Roy Scheider in a Batum joint versus Ferris Bueller in a Batum joint.
Cool. Wow. He was really, knocking it out.
And then you got American Flyers, which I don't recall, Short Circuit, Stakeout, Bird on a Wire, The Hard Way, Point of No Return, which I don't remember much about. I remember seeing it vaguely. Another Stakeout, The Drop Zone, Nick of Time, which is Denzel Washington, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Incognito, and Brother's Keeper. Those are his movies up to date so far.
Oh, yeah, because he kind of dropped off in the 90s.
Yeah. 2002 was his newest film, according to Wikipedia.
Okay.
And all these films are kind of...
Yeah, they kind of just...
Wash into the... They kind
of all wash under the bridge.
Yep. I mean, War Games, when I was, 12 or 13 when it came out, was, kind of like, awesome, dude.
Yeah, it was kind of mind-blowing, wasn't it, for what it was, the story?
And then I went back and I really, after it was over, I kind of forgot about it. I didn't, Star Trek or Star Wars or E.T., those kind of things that stick with you,
Yeah.
And this, the Batum movies kind of wash over you and go meekly on their way.
Yeah, they're just like... I mean, and I hate to say this, they're kind of like you just go in. They're like the McDonald's of movies.
Fast food,
they're
that's
fast
very
food.
good. Yes,
you get your fix for your hamburgers or whatever you get at fast food, and then you move on to the next meal in 4 or 5 hours or 12 hours, depending on your eating habits. But yeah, I mean, and that's kind of my thing is because I was watching both of these movies, I'm like, this is just like a lesser Ron Howard. Like, all these movies just feel like lesser Ron Howard. Like, put Michael Keaton in the Emilio Estevez role. Like, this is like a 80s Ron Howard comedy.
but a knockoff again, like I said, like a bad Xerox, if you will.
Yeah. But yeah, so do we have any more to say? I really have not. I was introduced to this franchise this week, and I think you've lived with it longer. Didn't you see these movies when you were...
I saw the first one when it came out in theaters, and I thought it was worth the price of admission, but I wouldn't say that it's...
It was like fast food.
Yeah, I saw it on a matinee, so it wasn't like I was paying full price. I was,
Yeah,
I paid the midday price.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't it like $3 back then for a matinee?
Yeah, $2 or $3
for
a matinee. Back in 87, 88, and you're talking like $5 or $6 for an evening ticket.
Right.
Back in them days. Mm-hmm. But still, it was worth the matinee price. It moved. It went along. There were some car chases and shootouts, but it's kind of fluffy, kind of fluffy. And the second one, whoa, what the fuck? Where the hell did that come from, right?
Yeah, it's just, I couldn't imagine seeing the second one in theaters because it.
No, I didn't see the second one in theaters.
And it's nothing against the Richard Dreyfuss and Rosie O'Donnell as actors. It's just their banter. I mean, it's annoying. Like, it's annoying. It's not funny. It's not funny to see characters, argue and just berate each other.
Yeah, they just insult each other all the time.
Yeah, it's like watching a marriage fall apart. Like, set some little sad music, and you got a movie about a marriage falling apart.
And they don't even trust themselves enough because they give you that over the top, comic, soundtrack. Basically the music is basically like, wah 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 all the time.
Yeah, the music's just here. Oh,
it's almost intrusive, actually.
Yeah, it's almost like both of these movies have music to where you just don't need it.
Oh, man.
You didn't need it. I don't need music.
Too bad we're not doing 1994 because then we get to do Time Cop.
I'll keep that in mind for
Yeah.
next year.
Do a 25th anniversary retrospective of Peter Hyam's Time Cop.
I'll be 25 around that point. So,
Mazel tov.
Molotov. But yeah, I'm kind of done talking about the
Yeah, I think we said what we said. It's not very good.
They're not.
They're not very good.
I mean, the first one, it's okay, like for like disposable trash.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely have issues with the creepy stalker Richard Dreyfuss,
Yeah.
just old man,
Yeah.
old creepy old man. Because I mean, because I think in 2018 Eyes we've seen enough like crime shows where basically Richard Dreyfuss would be the villain of a Criminal Minds episode.
I think that one thing I would say about the first one is it's a meatier movie than the second one. There's interesting kind of collisions. Like I said, it's it can't decide what kind of a movie it wants to be, but it's trying to be seriously all three. Mm-hmm. And the cinematography, I think, is actually better in the first one. I think it's grittier, darker. Mm-hmm. There's a grainier kind of you've got the steam coming out of vents and stuff like that.
It's done by the legendary John Seal.
It's a much better looking movie than the second.
Yeah, I don't remember who did the second movie, but I mean,
let's look that up. But
while you say that, John Seal did do the first movie. He has done the first Harry Potter movie. He did recently came out of retirement to do Mad Max Fury Road, and he recently did Poseidon. He's done. Oh my God, I'm blanking so badly on John Seal, but he's done a lot of great looking movies. Didn't he actually? I think he did. I think John Seal might have done The Firm. Maybe not.
I don't recall.
But anyway, John Seal, just great DP overall. And look, and you're not wrong. I mean, he does bring that gritty noir look to everything.
It's a much more saturated looking film. It looks like a deep shadows and the naked wintry trees. It's a much more lived in looking world than in the second one,
Right. Mm-hmm. Did you find out yet on?
Yeah, the Roy H. Wagner shot the second.
Oh,
one.
that's right.
He does TV shows like CSI Crime Scene Investigation.
Oh, that makes sense.
He did Ray Donovan. He shoots.
And I didn't mean that. Wait a minute. Did Roy Wagner do a Nightmare on Elm Street movie?
Which one?
3.
Nightmare on Elm Street. Yes, he did. The Dream Warriors.
Okay, because I was wondering where that was. That sounded familiar to me, like Roy Wagner.
I think it worked better there. He gave you a kind of a glossy, dreamy, almost a TV-looking kind of thing to show these kids stuck in their dream world, and I think he did a better job on that than he was almost like he was sleepwalking through another Stakeout. It's just very kind of flat and blandly lit in a lot of cases.
Well, and also it should be mentioned too. I actually did a little research on another Stakeout, and they shot this like 6 months before the movie came out. Like they shot this like from January to April in 1993, and this came out July 20 something of 1993. So it was literally like they shot it and put it together. Stitched it together very quickly.
Basically, give us a rough cut, huh?
Yeah, I mean, and look, it seems like nowadays or back then, movies were edited a lot quicker, or maybe directors were just, or maybe editors just like had a bunch of coffee and cocaine. But
I think it really depends, because I've heard of people editing movies for like up to a year, throughout history. So
oh yeah,
it may just be that there was a kind of a 80s, 90s kind of this is a factory. We're going to put out a movie. You have so much. You have a target release date, because that's what happened to The Last Action Hero. Is the studio said we're releasing it on this date, and they're sticking to it. And even though Arnie and the director
John McTiernan
both said we're not going to make that, the studio said we're making this.
We're making it with or without you.
Yeah, and so there was a sort of more of an assembly line kind of a feel going on in the 80s and 90s, apparently,
Yeah, and hello. Okay. That seems to be the thing of the 80s and 90s, the Rush assembly
Right,
thing.
right.
So, do we have any more thoughts on Stakeout? Because I'm kind of burned out.
I think we've been talking for almost 2 hours now.
Yeah.
So I want to say, Stakeout is maybe worth a matinee price, and another Stakeout.
Only if
Oh,
you are really curious.
I think that another Stakeout, if you can figure out some sort of a drinking game to play with it,
Okay, just make sure you don't die. Maybe how many times they succeed in a mission? Oh wait, that wouldn't work.
Yeah, okay, you would never get drunk doing that. How many times they fail at giving you a joke?
Oh yeah,
That would
okay,
kill you.
sure.
That would kill you.
Okay, maybe. Yeah. All right, so
Every time Emilio Estevez says "pop," "dad," or "daddy,"
ooh, maybe have some water on standby to maybe clean your system out a little bit in between the shots.
every time Richard Dreyfuss skeeves on some woman in the movie.
That's every moment.
Every-
Well, you get a break into the Stakeout because he's definitely not trying to scheme on Rosie O'Donnell.
No, but the neighbors. Oh, and every time Emilio Estevez is shot, stabbed, pushed down the stairs, or
That's a lot of drinking in the third act.
all right. Well, I guess we're going to let it go with that, right?
Yeah. So, do you want to tell everybody about the Cardboard Rocket?
The Cardboard Rocket is my new production company. We're doing my senior capstone this fall, and I'm looking for a producer, and we're going to work on developing one of my pitches.
Awesome. On that note, I will put the link to the Cardboard Rocket Facebook page in the description below. And you can find me on Twitter at MovieKale. You can also follow the show at the Youth Critic, and then you can also follow the channel that distributes this podcast at KHZ Network. Thanks, Justin, for being on. I don't know what we're going to do next for retrospectives. We could do something else. I mean, I know...
You could do Hocus Pocus and just release it in Halloween. Get it ready to go.
I know.
The next couple of weeks.
I know we got The Fugitive.
The Fugitive, right.
But
That was an influential movie. We should maybe consider that.
all right, let's do that as our next episode. Is The Fugitive. But on that note, thanks everyone. We'll be back with you. Well, yeah, you know what? We'll be back with you next week on The Fugitive.
We think you'll be able to pass for father and son.
What, are you kidding me?
Dad?
No way.
Papa!
No, just stop it right now.
And I'll be
No.
going with you.
Really? As what? My granddaughter?
No, your wife.
My wife?
Your second wife, actually.
Look, boss, this is not an assignment
Detective.
I want.
I'm the boss.
You're the...
Yes, detective. I am the boss.
Okay, this is a joke, right?